Helldivers is alive and kicking. We're seeing player counts rebound. Divers are coming out of missions with a huge smile on their faces. Basically, we are back, and all indications are that Arrowhead ain't done yet. Welcome to the channel. This is 𝘾𝙀🙬 with a rare Sunday edition of Helldivers info for you, just in case you need a break from that playtime, because we've now got the game's CCO responding all over the place and even creating some breaking news. We've got updates, articles, and community suggestions. It's action-packed today, and I hope you enjoy it. Remember to hit subscribe and ring that notifications bell so you never miss one of my future upload alerts. And let's get it started. All the latest from Helldivers. Kicking it all off for today is the world-famous 30-second Superstore reset, which is now just under 48 hours to go. And today's shop wares are the two Freedom's Flames alternate sets, starting off with the Salamander heavy body armor with inflammable for 75% fire damage resistance, of course the matching Salamander helmet, the Firefighter helmet, and the medium Firefighter armor, again with inflammable. And as always, expect to spend super creds in the Superstore, which can be found and looted throughout your missions. Swish! And by the power of editing, we are now over to the galactic table, and the current MO is sitting at 48 hours to go as well. And we've evened the score versus the enemy and pushed the needle, which was at -2 planets liberated, back to a now even Steven. This is, again, really pretty simple. Find those planets that are in liberation campaigns, join in, complete all 3 missions in that operation, and add your points to that liberation effort. And remember, there are 55 medals at stake here, which will come in handy when you go to unlock items in the latest Chemical Agents Warbond. Also, to further aid that unlock effort is today's daily or personal order to kill 8 Chargers, which, thanks to the Buff Diver update, you now have more options than ever to assist you. Airstrikes, primaries, grenades, support weapons, you name it, you can kill a Charger with it. Drop 8 of these and pick up those 15 medals, which are, as always, shared across the squad. Switching gears over to the community, the Buff Diver update, and more. And Johan, Arrowhead's CCO, has been busy responding both over on Reddit and Twitter. Now, the first of these has to do with the LAS 101 Purifier, which came out with the Polar Patriots Warbond. And I remember back to that Warbond, I unlocked it. I used this weapon for a couple of matches, and I honestly never went back. It was just dreadful. Now, this Reddit post with nearly 7,000 upvotes says, AH, don't forget this weapon for the next buff, to which Johan simply replies, yep. Now, they could possibly squeeze this into the announced balance plan just before the end of their 60-day studio plan. And that would also be a great question / poll for chat. Do you use the Purifier? And if so, what does it do well? Let me know by dropping me a comment. Also, as a quick follow-up, we saw a response from Johan on Twitter to this same line of suggestions, stating, yes, they were going to be working on the Purifier. We already have it on the internal build. It will be able to be fired as the Scorcher plus a charge up if you want the blast. And that's very interesting indeed. So it will be a combo weapon with a semi-auto mode like the Scorcher, and then the more powerful charge up shot will be there as well. How about the Chemical Agent's Stim pistol, which at least on paper looks like it could still be a viable support option for divers that they could equip in the secondary weapon slot? Well, no doubt, besides the meager healing it allows for, the current issue with this item is the janky-ass aim, where you can be directly aiming at your fellow divers and the Stim dart either misses them to one side or the other, or it will pass through their bodies and not apply the healing at all. Back to Reddit for this post. Here's the title, another video showcasing the unwieldy nature of the Stim pistol, showcasing both the terrible accuracy and inconsistent hitboxes, which, as you see in this video, looks terrible. And again, Johan responds to this one as well, simply saying, wow, that is bad. What the hell is going on here? Now, I commented on the jank aim issues a few days ago when the Chemical Agents Warbond dropped, and there is clearly something in the coding that is not lining up, and I would expect the devs to find and fix this one very soon. Now, not only is Johann catching the large-scale items, but also the lower, more immersive elements as well, like this post tries to point out. More data pads with new information, seeing automaton ships fighting super destroyers when you are on your ship above the bot planet, which, by the way, I think would look sick AF. And finally, adding the brrrt sound to the Eagle strafing run, much like you've all seen and heard from the A10 Warthog. Now, without a doubt, none of these are on the gotta fix them now list, but they would be cool to drop these into the game and find out they had just been added, much like the changes to the Sickle and the Eruptor SFX. And apparently, Johann agrees, saying, good idea, going on my list. And again, just my 2 cents here, but if these are changed in the game, it would be cool to not have them listed anywhere in the patch notes. Let us find them. Just shadow drop them into the game and then let them surprise the players as they start to encounter these hidden changes. For all my viewers out there, I'm sure you've seen this one making the rounds as well, suggesting a new stratagem be added into the game that would allow us divers to deploy portable high ground, as in some sort of mobile tower defense, which, by the way, I have some concerns about, more on that in a second. But Johann saw this post as well, liked it, and commented, I want this so much, but climbing is a new animation set and mechanics sometime in the future, maybe. Okay, so concerns for this item for me. First is that it makes you a sitting target for the swarms, and unless this thing is super beefy tanky, I see them attacking the base and bringing you or your squad down into the mass of enemies for an easy snack. However, if it could tank a ton of damage, I would be interested to try it out, but only if it's big enough for us to call down like HMGs or sentry emplacements on top of, so we could really bring down the rain when we start to get swarmed. Now, as far as the climbing limitations, here's what you do. The easy way to get around this is that the tower starts on the ground. So the platform is ground level. So we can simply just walk over, stand on top of it, and press a simple button for it to raise up into the air. Boom. Problem solved, and we could once again have another Starship Troopers element to add to our arsenals. And finally, how about some breaking news? And this one is a Johann response to a Twitter post concerning Bayonets, where it says, Arrowhead, you better not let us down, to which Johann responded, let me tell you about, and then it just says redacted. And so once again, here we get another tease towards Bayonets. Now, we've read about these being tested, we've heard rumors, we've heard about whispers, calls from the community, because melee in this game is still very underwhelming. But to have a bayonet ability? By the way, this is another good one for chat. I honestly don't use melee all that much, but how would you adjust your playstyles if you were given the ability to stab targets with this new bayonet melee function? Is this something you would do more often? Drop me a comment. Let me know in the comment section below. Let's now switch gears once again, and this past week has been good eating for Helldivers. Without a doubt, the Buff Diver update has done more for the health of the game than ever before, and for many, this is the best that Helldivers has ever been. But for right now, let's take a look around the gaming sites and see what they have to say. There's definitely some interesting takes out there, starting off with Destructoid, who ran with this headline. Helldiver 2's most helpful weapon has created a frustrating problem. The Stim pistol is a double-edged sword. Quote, the Stim pistol will provide a Helldiver with enough of a healing boost to survive their next hit. Debatable, but I'll continue on. Provided the next hit isn't a charger running them down or a misplaced Eagle 500 kg bomb. However, the healing a Helldiver is trying to provide their teammates won't work at all if they can't land the shot, and that's the toughest thing to do with this sidearm. The problem is that it feels impossible to land a shot with the Stim pistol. You can be in first person, aiming down sights, and have a Helldiver running right at you, but you'll still miss. It's definitely possible to land shots because I've seen players in the post-mission screens peppered with darts, but I have no idea how those darts found their mark. Yeah, this is definitely a point the community has been making, and we've already seen Johann's response. So again, I expect this one to get some sort of a hot fix, possibly even this coming week, because that aim is incredibly off. Next up, and we're going to place this in today's section titled, Tell me you haven't played Helldivers without telling me you haven't played Helldivers. And once again, back for the honor is GameRant. And I included this one because they posted this article just hours ago. But yeah, listen to this. Helldivers 2's gas war bond is arriving at an odd time. And just listen to this. They say, there was excitement for the new Chemical Agents Warbond, and its new additions to the gameplay will be interesting to see develop in the next few days. That said, it will come at the cost of overshadowing the recent fire damage trend. Point number 1, having the Warbond released only 2 days after the recent flame-based weaponry boosts could take away any attention that the prior patch had, especially with the right execution. Okay, point number 2, the equipment of the new Warbond could potentially be the best way of taking down foes, making the fire damage boost feel somewhat irrelevant. Yeah, okay, point number 3, the new Warbond could come with a gameplay patch that either boosts enemies to be more resistant to fire, or the flame weapons deal less damage, leading to the prior update feeling pointless. Again, this came out just hours ago. And finally, they conclude with, if the buffs to fire in the massive September Helldivers 2 update are going to continue to stand out, Helldivers 2 can choose to have flame and gas work as one instead. One of the ways to do this is by making the Terminids or automatons more susceptible to catching on fire when exposed to the toxic gas. That point I do agree with, dealing even more damage than if they were just lit up regularly. This way, the game retains the fire damage trend while promoting the new Warbond. Yeah, GG's GameRant. You do know that the Buff Diver update dropped on Tuesday and the Chemical Agents Warbond on Thursday, right? Anyways, they are throwing around hypotheticals here, laced with a lot of what-ifs when we already know what fire plays like. We already know what gas plays like, too. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I found the entire thing just humorous. And here is Destructoid back with another one. And I've seen this comment. It's rare, but I have seen it from time to time down in the comment sections, and the headline kind of spells it out. Some Helldivers 2 players feel game needs a higher difficulty after the buff patch, and the CCO agrees. Turn up the heat. Developer Arrowhead Games released the largest patch yet for Helldivers 2 on September 17th, 2024. It reworked enemies and applied massive buffs across the game's vast array of weapons and stratagems. Guns hit harder and bugs die faster than ever. I would add in so do we. In an attempt to balance things out, Helldivers take more damage to their limbs and torso. But for some, the overwhelming power may be a bit much for even the hardest difficulty setting. The CCO of Arrowhead and the Helldivers 2 creative director, Johan Pilstedt, agrees. Taking to X, he asked followers for their thoughts on the new patch. Many were elated, telling Pilstedt that Helldivers 2 is better than ever. I agree on that point. But there was at least one who said the game needed an even harder difficulty. Here's the quote from Johan. It says, "I agree," Pilstedt replied. As for the name of the proposed new mode, he posted replies that covered Extra Super Helldive and Extra Super Duper Helldive, with the latter being his own suggestion. And then the editor says, "I'll throw my hat into the ring and vote for Super Duper Helldive." Again, I turn to chat. How do you feel about the game's overall difficulty settings post-Buff Diver update? At least for me, I think the bugs are probably in the best place they have ever been, and I'm talking even at launch. The bots, however, seem to have improved in some areas but taken several steps back in others. Now, for many of my viewers, are you one of those Rambo divers that can scoot through super dives, difficulty 10 without dying? Would you be down to try an 11, 12, or 13? Again, drop me some feedback and let's get a discussion going, because I am definitely interested in hearing from you. On a completely different note, it looks like Kratos and General Brash have something in common. Both of these are that the PC communities are fighting the Sony fight. And so far, the God of War results are kind of mixed. Mid 34,000 player counts and a Steam review rating that has been hit with negative reviews, many based on the fact that Sony is requiring a PSN account to log on and play a strictly PvE game. But at least they tagged the requirement notice much higher up on the Steam page, but again, it's yielding the same results. I mean, who would have thought that Sony doing something like this would have caused issues? Cue the past Helldivers PSN linking requirements. Negative review bomb is evidence that PC players just don't like having a secondary company in control of their information. Also, and I hate to report this news, there's no current changes or information on when we can get those 170 plus countries and regions back into Helldiving. Let's finish this one up with a bit of a happier tone because it's now time for your top 3 comments. And like always, if you want to see your comment and name recognized in my next Helldivers video, you first need to let it fly on this video. That's right. You need to take just a few seconds to leave me a comment, and who knows, it might just get upvoted enough to make it into the next top 3. By the way, you miss 100% of the shots you never take, so let it fly. Leave a comment, and with that, let's dive on in with the top comment from my last Helldivers video. In the 1 spot is DG Jackson, who says, for the chemical war bond, I feel like all they need to do to make the dog breath and sterilizer amazing is give it a cloud gas effect instead of a sticky debuff. Make the cloud the same as grenades, but dissipate in shorter time. Keep it to 3 seconds even. Just make it a cloud so we can crowd control an area, not individual targets. Then it would be super fun to create area denials while making your teammates mow them all down. That's an interesting suggestion. I think I kind of skirted along that lines as well in the last video, but I would add in that in the current state of the game, we have so many viable options for offering us the ultimate in crowd control, death. That's right, you can't be attacked by a target that's lying dead on the ground. So if gas is going to compete, especially gas coming from the sterilizer and the dog breath, it needs to also have a seriously increased dot or damage over time effect added in. But I do like that cloud suggestion. And by the way, congrats DG Jackson for taking the top spot in this one. And the number 2 spot is Disengaged Soul with a little Helldivers lore for us. Fun fact, in the original Helldivers, there was a stratagem called the AD-289 Angel, which was a healing guard dog that followed you to heal you and your team exactly like the one in the Division 2. So it's definitely something I can see coming back. And by the way, congrats Disengaged Soul for taking the number 2 spot. I've probably logged about 5-ish minutes in HD1, so my background knowledge of that game is severely lacking, but that kind of guard dog could add some serious utility, especially in those super Helldive missions to keep you and your squad topped up. And bringing up the caboose for this countdown in the 3rd spot is 𝘾𝙡𝙤𝙚8896. The gas could use more damage, which I agree with, but not gonna lie, with the dog breath or just a simple gas nade makes them all go numb, which gets them off your back for a minute. It's something experimental, but I like how they are trying new things. And I agree with your points in here, Cade, and those are points that I tried to echo in the video that you commented on. There's a little bit of utility in these new stratagems that they added in, especially that guard dog, and I've been experimenting with that, trying to risk it for the biscuit as I go in for the egg versus those super nest. And the guard dog does add on just a little bit of confuse, and I've been able to get out of a few tight spots with it. But overall, I prefer something that can just DPS down the enemies. Once again, if they could add on a cloud effect or possibly even maybe triple, quadruple the amount of damage the targets take from that gas cloud, I would probably be much more on board with the offerings and chemical agents. But again, congrats on taking the 3rd spot. Sadly, that's all we've got time for today in this rare Sunday upload for Helldivers 2. Again, leave me any feedback you have and I'll do my best to respond. Remember to hit subscribe and to ring that notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. All my socials, including links to all today's sources, can be found down in the video description. We are somewhere between 244 and 245,000 subscribers right now on the channel, with that goal just out in the distance being 250K. If you haven't taken the time yet, do so. Hit subscribe. It's free and it really helps out the channel. We'd love to have you along for the ride. Until the next one, this is Lieutenant BuzzLitebeer signing off.